And we are live once again, man. We are coming at you from Facebook today. And we're actually going to be posting this out to my podcast, the Media and Marketing Podcast on iTunes.
Awesome.
And we're also getting this out on the YouTubes and, all over the social media web interfaces that we have out there. And I'm excited for today because, man, we've been trying to put this together for a while, but he's a busy guy and hard to get a hold of. Except for I know him, so I'm lucky I get to talk to Ben Stocks today. How you doing, man?
Good. How are you, Jan? Thanks for having me.
I'm great, dude. I'm great. Very excited about this. We're going to talk about you a whole heck of a lot today, and we're going to talk about how you help gym owners and other businesses 2x, 10x. Really, we're talking about growth, right? And so I know you're helping multitudes of businesses out there, but gym owners is kind of what you're known for, I guess. But ultimately, it's about local marketing, and smart marketing is kind of your angle. Maybe we can start right there. Tell me a little bit about what you do and some of the sort of unique ways that you help business owners in general, I should say. And I'll hand it over to you right now.
Yeah. So, the reason I got into, I would say, local business, marketing on social media is I was a local business owner. So I owned a gym. I started that when I was 20. Had no clue what I was doing at all. I was, working 5 a.m. to 10 p.m. at night, and I was working minimum wage jobs, and I was putting out yard signs, in the community trying to get clients. And, the way I was raised was, if you're good at what you do, people will find you, which there's an element of that, of course, especially with social media, people talk and things like that. But it wasn't good enough when I was starting out, right? Because I was like, I got to pay the bills. I got to get people in here. And I was passionate about what I did. And through a series of mentors, started learning about, direct response copywriting and things like that. And Facebook ads were up and coming. They were taking off. So I kind of rode that a little bit and started running my own. And literally, I mean, it certainly wasn't overnight that grew my business and kind of blew it up. But it might as well have been. It blew up very fast because, at that time, if you did any type of direct response, good quality marketing, on social media, it's like you were going to win, right, against the local competition for sure. So that took off. Eventually sold that business, started to work with different people in the health and wellness sphere, teamed up with a great group of guys who helped mentor me as well. And we helped gym owners grow their businesses using Facebook ads, Instagram ads, all that fun stuff. And then work with other local businesses as well. So that's kind of my progression. Like I get the struggle of having to pay rent, pay employees, have a physical location. And now I just help them grow, like you said, get new clients at will, and grow their business 2x, 10x, whatever they want to get to, what they want their business to look like. You can't do that without having paying customers, right? So that's what I help people do.
Right. That's awesome. And actually, I meant to ask you earlier, what is it in your background? Do you think that you talked about direct response marketing? Love that, right? Mm-hmm. Direct response advertising. And what was it in your background that, you think maybe lent itself naturally to your personality, to your approach? I mean, you talked about the struggles and all that, and that can drive anybody, but maybe you had some kind of a unique angle in your background. I'm just curious about that.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that because I've actually thought about that a lot. I was like, because I was reading business books when I was young, and I had no idea. I didn't know I wanted to be a business owner or an entrepreneur or whatever, but I loved to read and I was very interested. And also a lot of people say, like, people who don't know me extremely well and just know kind of, from the outside, they're shocked when I tell them this, but I'm actually extremely introverted. I'm very, naturally kind of shy, introverted. So I think, like, I would always sit back and observe people, and people were always very interesting to me because I would be the quiet one watching. So I think learning marketing and learning the psychology behind that was always really fascinating to me. And then when I had my business, it became applicable, right? It wasn't just something that was interesting for me to learn about. It was like, man, I could make money doing this. I could get a result from this. And so then I just devoured it and, went all in. I kind of have like this curse. I don't really dabble in stuff. Like, I get really obsessed and I'll just dive deep into it. So I think that's what I did with that. And I think it came from being kind of an introverted, more observing type person. So I'm just interested in people and what makes them tick. And that was and then when I, combine that with the actual practical effectiveness of it, I think I just jumped all in on it.
Well, that sounds great. Yeah, I mean, everybody has a clearly a different background and entry point to this, and it's just interesting to hear. And then the introvert part, you probably hear this a lot. I wouldn't expect that because you hold seminars and run conferences and workshops and all that stuff. That requires a less introvert person to be doing that, right?
Sure. Well, it's like I think I definitely have. I can kind of like if I want something, like I can ignore my feelings pretty well, So I'm up there, I'm freaking out and I'm nervous every time I get up and speak around people. But I say, hey, I want this result, so this is what it takes. This is what I'm going to do. And and then once you get into it, like Jan, it's like you've done events and spoken. It's like once you get into it, it's like okay, now we're good. But sometimes leading up to it is the hard part for me.
Yeah, just a sort of a parallel there. I think it was Frank Sinatra who said that when he went back up on stage every damn time, it felt like the first time. And he said, if I lose that edge or that sort of nervous trigger or whatever you call it,
right,
that's when it's over. And it's like you go on and you perform and you do your best, and that's how you serve. And that's the same way you do it, in the sense that you're attacking it right head on, and you're helping clients and helping them grow, and you're passionate as hell about it and learning every day. And I mean, I see it in your posts and stuff. That's exciting, man. That's cool. Great. So yeah, the next question is, things change a lot. It seems every day, for Facebook, there's always a change. For Google, they test and add things constantly. There's like a never ending sort of pool of changes and tactics and tools out there. And it can get really just even a professional really confused about, what's the best way to approach something. And so I'm leading up to this idea of what's working now, some specific things that you're doing that's maybe a little different, that's maybe counterintuitive, or, something that you find that really works well for you today with Facebook ads or anything you'd like. And maybe as you speak about that, break that down just a little bit. That'd be good.
Yeah, so I think the biggest thing, and it's going to be a boring answer for sure, but it's like just staying on, like you said, everybody has limited bandwidth, right? It's like we can all only, consume as much as we can, like stay on top of 50 million different platforms and the new things that are popping up, whatever. And we all try to, because that's our passion and that's what we love to do, and we should. But I mean, man, you can't replace just having mentors and coaches in those different spheres who are experts. And, Jan, before you even got on the air, we're talking about different people that we talk to and look up to and things like that. And it's like just having people where, man, let's say this platform, right? Like Facebook is their expertise. This is what they do. Or Instagram or YouTube or whatever it is. Going to those people and like, hey man, you tell me what's new, because I know you live and breathe this. So tell me and I'll take it and start to implement. That's a big thing for me, and it's always going to be a big thing for me, is like having the right coaches and having people to help me. I think because I came from a fitness athletic background where it's like, the best in the world have coaches. They have people who, who are the experts in what they do, and then you get the help and you implement. And obviously we're entrepreneurs. We have no problem implementing. So that's a big thing. And then the other thing, like I do, mainly most of my work with Facebook. And I think the biggest thing, the missed opportunity I see with most, especially local business owners, is not taking advantage of the Facebook pixel, and the ability that it has to, do the work of 1,000 of us, with the ability to retarget and create lookalike audiences, whatever it may be. It's something that I think it's just a little too techy sounding for most local businesses, so they avoid it. So I think just getting people to take advantage of that and really implement it has been super effective. And to retarget and to also, on the side, I came from such a direct response. I would study the old school copywriters, the Dan Kennedys, things like that, the Gary Halberts, where it's offer. There you go, John Caples. There you go. I have that right over here on my desk. That's funny. So it's like they were all offers, make sales, which 100% we should. But getting into just a little more sophistication on the brand building side, I think is important. Whereas when I was a little bit younger, I ignored that completely, right? I was like, no, it's all about offers and sales. And I think with social media, and it's becoming more social by the day, I think really taking the time to build your brand and build goodwill in the community especially in the local community, it's much easier to do, right? Because you're not competing with the world. For a local business, it's a huge missed opportunity. And when you combine that with, for example, a tool like the Facebook Pixel, and we can retarget the right people at the right time with the brand building stuff or with the direct response offers, it's kind of like a perfect storm, right? It's like we're getting the best results possible. And again, it's one of those things where you're not dealing with as many competitors. So if you do this even 70% right, you're going to get great results, right? So it's pretty cool to see.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, and the Pixel, I think it's Justin Brook who has a post out on medium.com, talks about the Genius Pixel. That's a great read for anybody.
Yep.
And it still amazes me that I talk to fairly established businesses, even, I mean, smaller, local, yes, but even more established, where pixels are not in place. Maybe Google Analytics is on, and that's about it. In fact, I'm talking to a large software development company, international company, today at 4:30, which is kind of exciting.
Awesome.
To help them a little bit on how they can build out strategies for customer acquisition. I mean, it's all about that. It's traffic, it's leads, it's sales, right? And we serve those customers. And what you talked about with the Pixel, man, just so important. I just love that piece of the technology and the fact that you can sort of train, if you will, the Pixel. I know that's probably a non-techie term right there, but it's the ability to really segment and build out audiences that you can serve up ads to. And like you said, while we think in direct response marketing and advertising terms, it's about adding value, goodwill. I just absolutely love that, that you're actually serving. And it's back to the classic dating example. You don't go for the kiss or the ring the first night, right? So no like and trust, all that matters big time.
And, I think, and you could speak to this, Jan, like, especially when I'm dealing with local businesses, typically it's one of those things where that's probably the first hurdle I have to cross with most people. Most people start with, how do I sell more of this thing? It's like, how do I get more people in the door, whatever. And it's like, well, maybe we should start with the customer and what they want and see if we can, go from there. And it's like, yeah, in a perfect world, like if you're trying to find a girl, you go to the bar and you just, they come with you, right? It's like they just go. But it's like, no, you have to spend the time and it's human interaction. At the end of the day, it's like, we have the techie terms and we have all that stuff. And sure, there is a technical aspect that you need to know, things like the Pixel. But other than that, it's like, it's a message in front of people, right? And then we're trying to get them to take an action. So I think people, and, I've struggled with this myself too, is like, because a lot of times I would be able to sell over the phone, no problem, right? Because I think I'm very to the point. I'm open about, I'm honest. I just tell the truth to people and they resonate with that. And sometimes when I would sit down to write copy, I would forget all that, right? And I would become this salesperson and I would, do all this stuff. And it's like some great mentors in my life would be like, Ben, like if you would just write the way you talk, you would be fine. And again, it was just a little tip, little insight there where it's like, at the end of the day, it's a person talking to a person and we're trying to get them to take an action. And I think that's forgotten a lot of times when we get into the techie side of things.
Yeah, that's right there. That is a breakthrough moment as I think about it, because we all get caught in this, and yet we're all about that serving aspect, and we get into sort of this weird otherworldly sales, direct response advertiser mode. And it's like, talk or present as you speak and as you serve at this level. I mean, I think that's phenomenal right there.
Yeah.
And one thing though, I'd like to, because I know you have a lot of experience in this. I have this, so I know you do too. Gym owners or local businesses in general, they come to you and they might say, Ben, we got this going on. We got this thing over here. So, I mean, there's always a plethora of things, but the one thing they want you to do for them is, hey, I need more likes or I need more followers to my page or to my account. What do you tell them? What's sort of your approach there when that happens?
Well, it's typically, I just say, well, what type of budget do you have? It's like if you've got a lot of fun money and you just want to, of course, it's almost like in fitness, right? So like when people will come to me and say, hey, Ben, I want to lose 20 pounds or whatever. there's an easy answer, and then there's like the more accurate, longer right answer, and most people didn't want to hear the more accurate, longer answer. So of course, if we want to get super technical, sure, having more likes on your page, the social proof, showing to Facebook that you're a legitimate business may have a better effect on your actual advertisements, things like that. Of course, that's something to be considered. But I tell a lot of people, like, they're so caught up in these, quote unquote vanity metrics. And then it's a quick way to go broke because most of them don't have, the budget to play with. And I'm like, man, I want to get you to an ROI as quickly as humanly possible so that you can continue to do this, right? So you can stay in business and keep paying for advertising. So that's when the old school, direct response side of me comes out, where it's like, let's get clients in the door and then we'll have more to play with typically. And this too, Jan, it's like, a lot of people sometimes just aren't, their business isn't ready for paid advertising because they don't have a budget, and they forget that, it's like, and then, a lot of times it's funny, like I'll get on the phone with people and they mention their budget or whatever. And then they will say something like, well, I want to get more likes or more reach on my videos or whatever. And I'm like, well, it's the old school quote. It's like, likes don't pay the bills. Right. And it's like, sure, quote unquote, it is good to build your brand and get the word out there. But at the end of the day, we got to have money in the bank and we got to have clients coming in so that you can continue to do this,
Yeah, exactly.
And it's a common sense thing, but it's forgotten a lot,
Yeah, exactly. And also I found that it depends on where, like you said, the budgets, how far are they along sort of in their business cycle, do they have 10 likes there or 10,000, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
And I think, basically what this podcast is all about is education and adding, hopefully good value out there in the marketplace. But this is also something that we do for the business owners, right? It's not about, let's get on the phone call and let's try and close you. It's about, let's see if we can't even do a sort of a mini blueprint of sorts right here, right now on the call and map it out for you. And, capture that as almost like an instant consulting session that you get complimentary or, in some cases paid, but they see the value from that and they see the passion, they see the experience, they see the overall sort of total takeaway from that, and even some action go-to items. And then as you come to a close on the call, it's the sort of the current style of, hey, would you like help with that? Or, hey, I'm glad you enjoyed that. And please share, like my page and follow my my activities via email, et cetera, et cetera. It's just a really rounded 360 approach to how you do business in today's, ecosystems.
And I think it's great because it's eliminating the people who are, because again, if you're even semi-charismatic and you're, a little bit sociopathic or you're a narcissist, whatever, it's like you can sell stuff, right? It's like, but you're only going to get people one time. And then, the market is going to eliminate you eventually, which is great. And I think that's awesome nowadays where people like you and, obviously I try to, and things like, it's like we try to provide goodwill and we try to actually help people. And then if people are ready to actually take the next step and grow their business and hire us or whatever, that's awesome. That's what we do. So, but at the end of the day, it's like, we know, the more you help people, it'll come back to you, it's like, and it's the, we were all raised that way. If we grew up in a decent family, and it's like, we forget that when it comes to sales and stuff, we think we have to turn into this different person, but really it's about, we can show that we're the best people to help you with this problem. And then let's go help. I was on the phone I was on a coaching call right before this interview, and she owns a local studio. And she was saying, like, I don't like being salesy. So one thing I've learned from you is to be more salesy. And I was like, oh no, I was like, that's not what I want. I was like, I don't want you to be more salesy. I was like, I think just making offers, to people and to saying, hey, I have this great, oh, I'm sorry, yeah. I have this, I have this great thing that I think would help you. Would you like it? I was like, that's what I'm teaching you to do. I was like, you're basically just putting it out there. And then if people want to take action on it, that's awesome. And that's really what it boils down to.
Yeah, no, that's great. And, I think it bears repeating. I mean, I talk to business owners where I present these ideas like, I get it. And I've heard this before. Well, you obviously have not heard it enough because it ain't working. So, we need to make this a big, bold statement and repeat it. Now, one of the things that you said sort of as a positive or a sort of a big takeaway as we're kind of coming to a close is this idea of not, like don't ignore problems. Can you talk about that a little bit and some of your sort of takeaways on that?
Yeah, I think this hit home for me when I was starting my career. So when I was, really early 20s and started my first business, things like that, it was like I had a tendency to really try to avoid the problems, right? Because I didn't want to look at my bank account. I didn't want to look at certain things, and so you just ignore it and hope it goes away, right? But obviously, as I matured and been in business long enough, it's like, man, all it does is make problems grow. It's like anytime you look away from a problem, it's just going to get bigger. A problem ignored is a problem that grows. And I think like when I made the shift to be like, okay, if I become semi-aware of a problem or even have a feeling about a problem, I'm just going to dive deep into it and really look at it and fix the problem. My life completely changed. It's like, and I think I dealt with issues when it happened. If it was a staff member, whatever, dealt with it right away. If you're dealing with an advertising campaign, you don't just let the thing run and hope that ignore your gut or ignore the data, right? You say, okay, based on what I'm getting, here's a problem. Maybe this landing page isn't converting for us. Let's fix this problem, And it sounds so simple, and it is, but it's hard to do because most people don't. That initial fear, it's almost like getting on stage to speak, right? It's like that initial fear of getting on the stage and starting to talk is overwhelming for a lot of people. But if you can just break through that a little bit and face those problems, it's like, and you may be a business owner looking at this, and maybe you're hearing us talk about lead gen or whatever, or client acquisition, and you're like, man, I don't have a system in place to do that. And you become aware, it's like, you could hope that you have a good month, hope that you get some more referrals, whatever, but deep down you need to have a system in place that gets you that. So I would say don't be afraid to do that, to figure out, okay, I knew I have this problem, I'm going to face it. What can I do? Who can I hire? What books can I read to fix that problem? And it's going to change your life completely. It changed mine for sure.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. Yeah, and in fact, as we're coming to a close, I know that there's several different ways in which folks can engage with you, and I put up a link there. That is the correct one, I hope, Ben?
Yep. So it's meetingwithben.com. Very straightforward. You can book a call with me there. It's totally free. Even if you just want to chat and be like, hey, Ben, what's new? From an advertising perspective, here's what I got going on. I'm happy to talk. I love that stuff. It's just fun for me, just like what we're doing now, Jan. I enjoy it. We'll be happy to talk with anybody.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And then they can find you out on Facebook. I'll post a link as well. It's the ben.stocks.7, the very wonderful URL right there.
There you go. It's pretty straightforward, right? But yeah, so just connect with me on there. Shoot me a friend request. Like I said, shoot me a message. If I'm available, I'm going to respond. I love talking to people. It's no problem. I like talking to nice people who are interested in growing and getting better. So if that's you, would be happy to talk.
That's phenomenal, man. And, one thing that I hadn't put down here, which I'll just throw at you right now as we come to the final sort of point here is if I'm a local business owner and, maybe I'm thinking about calling you up and I want to talk about some strategies. Maybe I'm a local gym owner, health fitness center or whatever. And, I want to start, but I'm a little bit careful, maybe I've been burned before or, I'm just not quite sure where to go. Well, clearly go to meetingwithben.com is a great place to start. But, if they were to kind of, dip their toes in, I guess, so to speak, are there any tools or any resources or anything like that perhaps they can even go to as a start, or should I just book a call with you?
Well, they should book a call with me. That's number one. Because again, I'm not gonna hard sell anybody. If you want to work with me, I'd be happy to work with you. If it's not a good fit, I will refer you to someone else. I'll give you book recommendations to get better. I'm not gonna force anyone to work with me, right? It's like I don't want that. I want it to be a mutual feeling, right? But yeah, I mean, if you're trying to learn and get better, I think just the same way I started is like learn from the direct response copywriters, the old school. Just learn how to craft the sales message, and of course the technical aspect of implementing that, whether it's through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Google, whatever it is. We could talk about that all day, right? And there's great people in the industry like you who can help with that. But I mean, pick up the Ultimate Sales Letter from Dan Kennedy and just learn how to write an ad. You talk about John Caples right there. It's like, just the old school stuff and learn. And what I noticed with myself was like the shift for me, especially starting when I was 20, so young and being in fitness, was like, oh, people aren't, they're not going to come to my business because of me, right? It's like they're going to come because what I can provide them. And I think that was just a shift. And it's so weird because, me and you, Jan, we're in advertising circles and stuff. So this is common lingo. But for the local business owner and really many business owners, they're so consumed with their business and what they've got going on that they forget that their customer is not, right? It's like we are a very far afterthought. So just knowing that people come to you because of the value you can provide for them, and the more clear you can make it that you are the solution to their problem, the better you'll be. So I think those diving into some copywriting stuff is helpful for that mindset, because none of them are talking about themselves, right? I mean, maybe a little bit, but for the most part, it's about a solution you can provide to people and how you can most persuasively say that. And it's pretty powerful. It's a big mindset shift.
It's funny you should mention the Ultimate Sales Letter, Dan Kenny. I'll link that up. Actually, one of my sons, I'm teaching him about marketing. He's 12, and I gave him that book. I gave him that book, actually, and I said, I want you to read that, for the whole month, spend your time, whatever, and I want you to do a book report on video back at me, and then I'll give you some money for it. And he's learning about USP and different sort of checklists and things, and that's a great way to start. And if you're 12, that's an okay place to start as well. So,
and there's the marketing lesson right there. Is like, Dan Kennedy, a genius, great guy, is like, he wrote a book that a 12-year-old could start to understand. It's like he wrote it in very simple. I mean, the book is very simple to read, but that's the lesson there, is you're talking to the average person. Now, if you want to get a little bit deeper, we all know like breakthrough advertising, a great one, talking about the sophistication of your market, things like that. But to get your feet wet, just learn some copywriting and dive deep into writing a good sales message. And man, you can apply that across any platform that you want.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. This is fantastic as we close out this broadcast today. Ben, it's always a pleasure. I realize this is the first time we've actually done this, but we've been sort of crossing paths in the past, and finally glad that we did this. So I want to thank you for today, and I think that what we'll do is we'll just close it out. If you have any final words, let me know. If not, then we're good, my man.
I'm good. Thank you for having me on. And the next one we'll do in person in California, so I can get out of the freezing East Coast.
Freezing cold. Yeah, dude. It is still good weather out here, so no worries. Yeah, I look forward to that.
All right. Well, thank you, Jan. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm going to end the broadcast. Thank you.